Hi Commodore fans, today I'll be previewing a project that I've been working on. This here is a Bluetooth retro joystick mod. If you saw my previous video you'll recognise this joystick. This has been converted to an 8-button USB stick with the help of an Arduino Pro microcontroller and a few third-party switches. Now this works well, but I've got ambitions for wireless conversion. I had some issues attaching a Bluetooth HID controller to the Arduino, so for this project I've actually switched to an ESP32 microcontroller instead. The ESP32 has Bluetooth built in, so it makes it a little bit more cost effective. The only downside to this though is the ESP32 can't be used as a wired USB controller. Now the USB port on this stick, if it was soldered in, this would function only as a charging port, and potentially if wired out that way it can be used to flash the ESP32 as well. But on my circuit I've actually connected the USB to the voltage input rather than the USB port on the ESP32. Now another downside of this project is that it doesn't actually work with the C64 Mini, which was actually the whole point of the exercise. So that's why we have a prototype board, and I haven't yet soldered this into the QuickShot. Also, for this to go into the joystick, it will have to be shrunken down a little bit, which potentially can be done because only this small unit here is ESP32, and the rest of it's a dev board. You can get smaller dev boards as well. But yeah, so I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. So this does have a function as a PC controller, and it works quite nicely with the C64 emulator for Windows. Now the project itself is based on an ESP32 BLE gamepad project by a Scient and Pal. Now I've actually adapted that code to work with 12 push buttons. So that's 4 directional buttons on this stick and the additional 8 buttons here, which essentially mimic those on the C64 Mini joystick. Now, with this connector, I'm not actually these aren't actually hooked up because I'm using the D port here. So we only got the 4 directions and the single fire button, which are wired up into this controller. But the controller itself does support an additional 7 buttons. So a nice feature of Scient's code is this over here. He's actually got an LED library in his code too. So I've kind of adapted that a little bit and kept that part of it. So here we have this is actually a WS2812 pixel strip. Or Dreamcolor, whatever they're called. So in this case, we have one light over here, which I don't know if you can see that in the camera, but that indicates Bluetooth connection status, and currently is connected to this laptop over here. Another light actually flashes different color when you press various buttons on the stick. So I don't know if you can see that there. So it's flashing yellow there, or it flashes blue when I use this button. So the code itself is unfinished because we've also got 6 LEDs that show the battery charge status. So as you can see in this circuit, I've got a lithium polymer battery and a charging circuit here. This pin here actually connects to one of the analog input pins to record battery voltage. So just to demonstrate that here, I'm going to touch that to the 5 volts here. So you should see a few LEDs light up if I've done that correctly. Okay, there you go. So that should actually show 6 LEDs. But as like I say, the code needs tweaking a little bit. So eventually this will connect to the battery output. There's a voltage divider here, so it reads a peak of 3.7 volts, which would be divided down to half, So half of 3.7 volts, we want, I want showing 6 LEDs, and then it bottoms out around about 3.2 volts before there's before the ESP32 can't be powered anymore. Ideally, I want 3.2 or 3.3 volts to be the level where we only have one LED. So, sorry, an additional feature of this board, well, not feature, but an additional component is here we have a step up, well, a boost module. So this steps up the 3.7 volts of the LiPo battery to 5 volts, and then we can just power it through the 5-volt pin here or via USB. So, like I say, this works very well with ESP, with CCX64. So I'm just going to quickly demonstrate that working. And there we have it. So that's C664 control with an original C64 joystick, in this case a QuickShot 2, connected wirelessly. If you're interested in following this project, do hit subscribe, and all the circuit diagrams and code I shall, as soon as that's complete, I'll upload that to an Instructors page and put a link in the video. Yes, thank you for watching.